5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Are you ready to work towards a healthier future? Implement the best strategies for hitting your goals and taking life head on? Damn right you are. I'm your host, Courtney Levesque, and the Her Inspired Journey podcast is proud to bring you 10 minutes to better fitness. Every week, you'll hear the best of the best regarding your mental and physical health, as well as actionable insight you can implement right away. From your overall fitness to mindset, accountability, and the hottest trending topics, we've got you covered. Get ready, the clock's ticking, and your goals are waiting.
Hey everybody, welcome back to 10 Minutes to Better Fitness. We are kicking off the fourth round of this, and I want to thank you just for showing up. This is going to be 10 minutes straight to the point, and today we are talking about how to set realistic goals. And as we move into the new year, depending on when you're listening to this, we can get into this mindset where, we fall back into old habits or we start to dream too big. And I think it's really important when you want to achieve something that you go about it in a way that will be successful. You have to set yourself up to move into that area to be able to attain that goal in the first place. So today I really want to just talk about outlining how to break down goals, setting realistic goals, what the different pieces to making something realistic, to making a SMART goal, as you might hear people talk about, and then just outlining some of that for you. So again, it's just really important that we take the time to acknowledge, maybe you've listened to the last segment of this, or you've listened to some of the other podcasts, and you start to really do some self-assessment and realize that either one, you aren't setting goals that are true to you and to your desires, or maybe you're going too big. You're looking at the big picture and you're not taking the time to set these smaller steps that will lead you to that finish line. Or maybe you just haven't found your why or your focus or your motivation yet. So I think in order to do that the best way, it's really about setting yourself up to move in the direction of success. So the very first thing I want to talk about is really what defines an attainable or a SMART goal. The very first one is you have to be specific in those goals. What is it that you actually want to achieve? So instead of saying, I want to be more fit this year, you could say, I want to be fit enough to run a 5K in under 30 minutes, or I want to improve my health and fitness and drop 50 pounds. That goal has to be specific, and it has to pertain to one thing. If we set this goal of I want better health, well, what does that mean? Is that fitness? Is that nutrition? Is that mindset? Is that all of those things? So be very specific when you set that. The second piece is for it to be measurable. So it's how do you know that you're making progress or not making progress if you don't really know how to measure, or if you've moved the bar at all. So, you can do this in form of taking pictures if it's related to, how something looks, yourself or something else. You can graph, you can measure, you can use different apps to track progress. So there's lots of different ways that you can go about measuring that. But in order to know if that benchmark is moving, you really have to know what you're doing and how that progress is coming along. The next one is going to be really getting back to the attainable theory. So making sure it's an achievable goal. Sometimes we look at where we are and goal setting kind of comes from this place of discontentment, right? Or frustration. So if you are coming from that place, it's easier to set a big goal. Maybe it's in your business, or maybe it's starting something brand new. So it's easy to go like, this is what I want. This is the big picture of what I want. But in order for you to get there, you have to be able to achieve all of these benchmarks along the way. So setting an achievable goal will be ultimately breaking down the big goal with smaller steps. It can be hard to do this if if you haven't set goals before. Maybe it's more difficult to figure out what those small steps are going to be to get you there. But I promise you, I have that for you. So keep watching, stay with me. It's going to be in there. The next part of the SMART goal is relevancy. So this goal has to be relevant to you. And this is a place where I see a lot of people getting stuck. Women in particular, maybe men do too. I don't hear about it as much with men, but women will get stuck in this mindset of attaching themselves to a goal because it is a pressure, or it is something somebody else wants for them, or maybe they've started to compare themselves to where somebody, like-minded sits, and they're trying to set this benchmark because of that other person. The relevant goals that you are setting have to be deep-seated within you. They have to be something that when things get trying and tiring and you don't feel like putting in the effort anymore, or you're grinding it out and you're making tough decisions, you have to be connected to that goal. You have to know what your why is and know the relevancy that you want that thing or that achievement in your life, because when you don't, I promise you, it will be the first opportunity to just let things go by the wayside, to go, you know what, I don't even really want this as it is. So why am I going to continue to work for something that isn't mine, that I am not deeply connected to? So make sure that you know why you're working towards that in the first place, what that is. Make sure it's not a pressure coming from somebody else or related to a negative experience. Now, there is a disclaimer with this. If you are working to love yourself more, and part of that stems from damage, maybe growing up or being bullied as a kid or having a partner belittle you, it is okay to have the desire to work through that because of those past experiences. But ultimately, you have to know that you are working towards loving yourself more because you want to love yourself more, because you have the desire to feel self-worth and to build your confidence, even though that might be related to something else. And I hope that's very clear. The next part of that is that it's got to be time-based. So you have to set a timeline here. In order to say, I want to lose 50 pounds, right? This is a bigger goal. I want to lose 50 pounds. You need to break down at what point you need that to happen by, or your desire for that to happen realistically. But then you also need to figure out how to set the smaller goals within that so that you hit that overall timeline. So there is a method to doing all of this, and you're going to find that it's going to take some trial and error to get there. It always does. Goals never happen on the first try, or if it's very rare if they do. So it's going to take you putting in the effort, reassessing, having those failures, bumping your head against the wall, and the next time you get there, you're going to approach it, go, what can I do different this time so that I can achieve this, whatever this is to you. So it's really good to be specific about that. I wish I had one handy, but I have a printout also of how you can break those bigger goals down. In fact, I'm going to be attaching it in the show notes, so you will have that. You'll have access to figuring out how to set the big goal, right? Figuring out what it is that you want to achieve, and then those little milestones that you're going to have to incorporate either into your mindset mantras or into your daily habits. Maybe you'll have to kick old habits out, but the different things you will have to incorporate or achieve in order to move you in the direction of the big goal, right? That is the ultimate achievement here, is getting to that end place, that thing that you set for yourself. So I think it's really important to keep in mind that setting goals is important for our lives. But the other element to that is writing them down and following through. So it's easy, especially again during this time of year, to think, well, I'm going to write these goals, I'm going to do these things, I'm going to have this resolution. but they don't mean anything unless you're willing to take action. And that first action has to start with writing things down. 92% of people that set resolutions or goals don't achieve them. 42% of people who write them down will achieve them. So you do the math there. If you want to increase your odds by a long shot and move yourself in the trajectory of success, be accountable. Write down SMART goals, okay? Measure them. Make sure they're attainable. Make sure they're time-based. Make sure they are relevant to you, and then break them down so that you can achieve them. Again, maybe you're watching this on YouTube or maybe you're listening in on the podcast. Either way, you can capitalize on taking these steps. I have free downloads for you in the description on YouTube or in the show notes on the podcast. But always, you can circle back to my website, herinspiredfitness.com, and I've got all of the resources for you there. If you can't find something in the description of the show notes, I got your back. All right, get to it.